Welcome to this film from the English Riviera Tourist Board. This video features Torre Abbey, a medieval monastery with a Georgian house built on later. Both have been refurbished and reopened in the summer of 2008.
Torre Abbey was built in 1196, so it's Torquay's oldest building. You can imagine it 800 years ago, surrounded by open countryside, and the canons from the monastery were very powerful people in this area. So the building has got a fascinating history. Where we're standing now is the oldest part of the building. This would have been the canons' refectory, and of course they would have been silent at this point in the building. It was a small order, but a very wealthy one. They owned huge tracts of land all around Devon. So the barn outside, which we now call the Spanish barn, was the tithe barn that the local tenant farmers would bring their taxes in tithes. They'd leave some barley as part of their tithe to the canons. So its history is very long, and the canons lived here until the dissolution of the monasteries, and after that time it became a family home. But its really interesting ancient history has all been uncovered recently with this fascinating restoration project. That's been a £6.5 million project. The oldest parts of the abbey weren't open to the public, and people can really see the roots of the building. The cloister is a traditional square garden, which when the abbey existed in its full form would have had a square walkway going around the garden. It would also have been a garden with produce for the canons, so a fruit garden, a vegetable garden and a medicinal garden. Really what happened was when the Carey family took over the house, it became more of a Georgian garden where they would grow flowers, cut flowers for the household. So the garden itself has quite a bit of history, and you can see the footsteps of some of the original part of the building that no longer exists, they're long since gone. The Georgian part of Torre Abbey is very much a facade that covers up the original building underneath. But the Georgian family, it's a family called the Carey family, a very wealthy family, and they lived very much the grand life. And as a family, they were here for 400 years, so steeped in history with all of their lifestyle as well, and some of the paintings from that time are hanging on the walls now. It is mainly home to the town's art collection, which is quite substantial. If you can picture through the different eras of Torquay's lifestyle, a lot of wealthy families would have had villas. So Torquay's town collection of art is really a very impressive one, but it has a lovely flavour of maritime history and of contemporary art as well. So it's a really interesting combination of art, and that is largely in the setting of what would have been the family rooms of the Carey family. You couldn't possibly open an attraction in this part of the country without having something on offer for everybody. And brass rubbing itself has a really interesting history in terms of where the brasses came from and how the hobby of brass rubbing started as well. So there are very few brasses, genuine original brasses in the floors of churches now that you can go and do brass rubbing. So this is an excellent collection of over 50 brasses. The shop has a much bigger space than we used to have, and it's great because people love to buy something as a souvenir. So we've got lots of things in interesting medieval patterns, lots of books on art, Devon history and the medieval history of that time as well. So a huge range for people to choose from.
And the cafe?
Chocolate cake to die for. It serves a really nice range of snacks and meals, cakes, a lovely selection of cakes, and some outside seating as well for when it's a nice day. And the cafe is actually open to visitors from outside of the Abbey, so you don't have to buy tickets to come into the Abbey just to use the cafe. It's part of the family kitchen. That's where the food would have been made for the Carey family household. So it's not in use as a range now, but it's a beautiful piece of decorative background to a lovely cosy cafe.
That film was brought to you by the English Riviera Tourist Board. For more information, why not visit the website?